Alright everyone, welcome back. Happy Friday everybody. I hope you're all having an amazing week so far. It's now July 14th of 2023, and given that we have finally witnessed that Indiana Jones 5, The Dial of Destiny, has come to pretty much a complete halt at the box office, it's not looking good at all for Lucasfilm, now losing officially hundreds of millions of dollars, and how it's impacting everything related to the Star Wars universe, sadly, and it is, of course, going to make things even harder for Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni to complete their task, to course-correct the Star Wars franchise and more. So basically, the failure of Indy 5 is creating a ripple effect, and Bob Iger really has to figure out exactly what to do. We've been talking about this Lucasfilm purge that's been going on, as well as all the emergency meetings that have been taking place between Iger and the board, etc., etc. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into what's going on here with Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Now, you guys may know, if you have been following for a while, that Phoebe Waller is a very defensive type of actress. She reacts in a very heated way whenever she's, of course, promoting a movie or whatever it may be, either a show, whatever have you, Fleabag, Soloist Star Wars Story, and or in this case, Indiana Jones 5. It's always back to her, to where it becomes a argumentative type of thing against fans or against the general public. Now, look, we've seen Phoebe Waller-Bridge complain multiple times about the loud and opinionated fans, quote-unquote, being the source of the problem, and how she's been responding to the box office collapse for Indiana Jones 5. This is a disaster. This is, I think, in a way, worse than Soloist Star Wars Story, because they invested so much into this movie, and they really just completely missed the mark on this film. So, let's dive into all of this, shall we? Now, one thing about all of this is that with those like Phoebe Waller and Kathy Kennedy promoting Indy 5 during its box office fallout, Phoebe recently touched on the box office situation by delivering the following. I don't think the story is to blame, why we didn't really get to meet our goal. If you really think about it, the real issue at hand with our movie and why our film did not perform as well as it should have was because of the fans refusing to invest their time in this film because of the other loud, opinionated fans that do not support diversity, equality, and female leads in our stories. It's just absolutely disgusting, and I know James put his heart and soul into this story, so it's completely unfair to him as a creator. People like to point fingers and mock at us that it was because of the story and its direction that's just flat out not true. It's simply from fake fans that hold grudges against the creator's vision. Also, we have to remember that our marketing strategy was not 100%, so that very well has much to do with that. I still think Mangold did an amazing job, and I really enjoyed this more than The Last Crusade. It was the real way to end the story for Indy's life. Now, guys, one thing I really want to say here quick about Phoebe Waller is that she has no idea what she's talking about. This movie is nowhere near the status of The Last Crusade. There's just no question about it. There's no relation to it. Not even the ending is on the same level as The Last Crusade. I mean, you can't touch it. It's a legend. So, Phoebe Waller, again, blaming, of course, the overall structure of, the fake fans, as she likes to call them, and she goes on to call them posers again, as well as the marketing. Alright, this is something that Kathleen Kennedy and Phoebe Waller have been blaming on and on again, that the marketing wasn't 100% and that maybe they should have fine-tuned that to make this movie a bigger success. Look, the reality of the situation is this. It has nothing to do with the marketing, nothing with the fans, it's flat out the story. And we can't forget the fact that movies out there like Sound of Freedom put it to a complete halt, as well as Mission Impossible 7 and Insidious: The Red Door. Those three projects really just contributed more so to the destruction of the box office, but that was not the only reason why. The real core of the problem was flat out the story and word of mouth. And I think also the fact that, nobody was really asking for this movie to begin with. I don't think a lot of people want to see a, senior citizen version of Indiana Jones going on an adventure, you know, driving around, running around, doing all these different things. I just don't think fans want to see that. What they could have done was they could have focused on a younger character in search of Indiana Jones. Maybe Shorty goes on an adventure trying to find Indy or something like that, where it's not necessarily an indie film, but like a spin-off. They could have done something like that that would have made a lot more sense. This way you have a reason to, you know, actually have a reason to back up why Indy wouldn't be in that movie as much. Now, on top of this, too, she goes on to elaborate further, we are still discussing sequels, Kathy and I, and we are still not quite sure if it will be a movie or a series. These loud and opinionated fans are nothing more than posers. Here she goes again with the posers thing, who ruin the party for everyone. We do, however, look forward to those checking out this film on Disney Plus once it arrives. We know we made a masterpiece, and as a creator myself, I know how hard it can be. I was proud to get the opportunity to contribute to the story with the permission of Kathy and Steven, and I loved working with James on how Helena's story was going to be laid out as well as Indy's. I don't believe any other films had to do with our success points being altered for this film. It really came down to marketing and grudge-filled fans that spread a negative word for everyone. It's childish, really. Now, again, I mean, this is typical Phoebe Waller-Bridge, very unlikable person, insufferable, and she always plays herself in every single movie or TV show. And I am not looking forward to Alien Romulus for this very reason. There's been a lot of rumblings, and we've talked about this strictly here for months now, on and off, that she is going to be playing an android called Rook in Alien Romulus. And it's described to be a very powerful android. Gee, I can only imagine what kind of one-liner she's going to come up with in that film. But look, at the end of the day, we know that there's a lot of problems with Indiana Jones 5 for the real reasons here. The story, Phoebe Waller contributing to the actual plot, which was another big problem. She's the one that actually called the shots on Indiana Jones getting punched in the face by Helena toward the end, and how it cuts to black. You know, it's the way it was also executed that was wrong, right? We know that Indy has gotten punched before, you know, by females in the movies, but it was done in a different reason. And it was also done in a different way. It was actually presented in a different style. This scenario, it was like it focused on Phoebe's face and her fist just hitting the camera. That's basically what it was like. And it was almost like a punch to the fans. That's how I saw it. That's how I think a lot of you saw it. And the fact that it cuts to black and how we open up back to, you know, the apartment scene, you know, that's basically their segue to say, oh, you know, we're not all that bad for punching Indiana Jones 5. Just forgive us quickly. That's really their segue there. That's Kathy Kennedy's little manipulative technique, if you will. So it's interesting, guys. I would love to hear your take on this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
Night to moon,